Well, the government shutdown has ended for the moment temporarily, but the battle over a border wall continues. The Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, has vowed that she will never fund that wall under any circumstances. The president promises he's going to build one. So that seems to leave the White House with one option: declare a national emergency and order the building of a wall on our southern border. That sounds like a pretty radical solution, but is it? Well, it turns out that national emergencies happen all the time, and somehow very few of them receive any attention at all. In 1976, Congress passed the National Emergencies Act. That law grants the president the power to declare a state of emergency in response to virtually anything if he thinks it's necessary. National emergencies can be renewed annually and routinely are. Congress can only block a state of emergency with a two-thirds vote. So it's a very broad law, and it's been applied a lot. It began in 1979. President Jimmy Carter declared a national emergency to keep Iranian government property from entering the United States. That emergency is still ongoing, despite being older than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, for example. Since that date, American presidents have declared no fewer than 58 national emergencies, and 31 of them are still ongoing right now. The average state of emergency in this country has lasted for 9.5 years. So what are some of these emergencies? Well, some really were emergencies. September 2001, for example, President Bush announced a state of emergency that gave the White House greater authority to mobilize the military, call out the National Guard, and perform other counter-terrorist actions. That emergency has been dutifully renewed each of the past 18 years. So that was real. We've also had a decade-long national emergency to combat the swine flu. President Trump has declared 3 national emergencies already. Bet you didn't know that. One of them sanctioned those who use social media to influence elections, those dastardly Macedonians. Another national emergency condemned the government of Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega. That was a national emergency. And yet another ongoing national emergency punishes anyone who works to, quote, undermine the sovereignty of Lebanon. Lebanon. You see the point here? In Washington, protecting the sovereignty of a faraway Middle Eastern country that very few Americans will ever go to qualifies as a national emergency. Protecting our own country's sovereignty is, quote, immoral. And we're not overstating that. Just this week, 4 freshman Democrats in the House co-signed a letter demanding lower funding for America's border enforcement. In other words, it is virtuous to protect others. It is wrong to protect ourselves and our own children. What's the name for that attitude? Well, self-hatred would be one. Should people who hate the country be in charge of it?